Hello everyone, I'm Brian Croy Dragon and welcome to Vox Adventures. Getting started a bit later than I intended to, but not too much later. Hmm. Hi, Alex. Come on up. Come on, Chisholm. Come on, baby. You coming up, Alex? Come on. Um, 4:30. Okay, then. Again, I find myself without a single topic in mind. I'm sure something will come to mind once we get moving. Okay, let's get moving. What have we here? A bridge? Yes, it does look most like a bridge. Well, if you're watching this and don't know, I'm currently streaming Castlevania Circle of the Moon on Twitch. It's going good. Defeated 4 out of 9 bosses. Um, Save points are pretty far apart, so I'm not too crazy about that. And there doesn't really seem to be a shop where I can get potions from. I just have to end up being lucky and get one from an enemy or from ripping a candle. The bosses, they vary in difficulty. Sometimes it's, well, I haven't really managed to get one in one. I haven't managed to take one down in one go. At least I don't think. I can't remember right now. Uh, Mainly it's been either uh, try again until I uh, figure them out, get enough experience, or have enough potions on me. And here's another thing. The bosses don't drop orbs, so there's no healing immediately after a boss battle. It's annoying. Because I'm thinking, what if I'm down to 20 health after beating a boss? And I've got no potions. That enemy could possibly kill me, and I'd have to do the whole thing over again if I don't make it back to a save point. It's not set in Dracula's castle. It's set in Camilla's castle. Camilla being a completely different character. If you've seen the Netflix series, you might be familiar with her. So that makes it two games I'm aware of that aren't set in Dracula's castle, the other one being Dawn of Sorrow, which I own a physical copy of. Have I beaten it? No. I should get back to that at some point. Uh, as for commentaries, I'm doing commentaries on the series Fairy Tale Theater. It's an anthology series that adapts different fairy tales. First was in Tale of the Frog Prince, with Renee Auberjonois and Robin Williams. The second one was Rumpelstiltskin with Ned Beatty, Shelley Duvall, a bunch of others. Why don't we hang out in Cavern? Now, who is it? Glutton. Well, there goes my fishing rod. Why not? Excuse me one moment. Okay, so this is the seventh. Yes, the seventh episode of the fall season we're on right now. So we'll be finishing up next week, because I always go to 10 episodes with seasons of Vox Adventures. First day of winter, December 21st. And the winter season will be starting later this month. I mean, that's okay with me. Might do my commentaries in the morning. Then, my commentaries, my secondary video game related recordings as well. My second one I'm not at liberty to say because it's rated 18A. Due to something that appears in the game. I'm playing it safe. And once I'm done with that game, I'll move on to Cinderella Phenomenon, a visual novel uh, centered around fairy tales. Excuse me one moment. Yeah, just had to de-mushroom a pizza. Around a slice of pizza, but still I don't like mushrooms. Hmm. Yeah, maybe I can read something while we wait. Excuse me one moment. Alma is the most common name for a primitive, almost human creature that is said to live in the wildest and most remote parts of Russia and Mongolia. The Alma is known by many other names, but seems to be the more refined cousin of America's Bigfoot, or the Yeti of the Himalayas. Where Bigfoot and the abominable snowman seem to be more ape-like, the Alma is almost invariably described as less hairy and more human-looking. In some cases, they are even said to possess speech and clothing. Whoops. Okay, carry on. It is possible that such beings, almost literally cavemen, can... Let's try that again. Is it possible that such beings, almost literally cavemen, can still live in the 21st century? In Russia, scientific study of the Alma is taken seriously, and there are several respected researchers who have devoted their lives to finding out more about the elusive near men. And the rugged people who have lived in the areas where the Alma have been seen regard them as a natural part of the landscape, not much different than a bear or a moose. But sightings have been more and more infrequent since the 20th century. Time may have already run out for the Almas. I see Alex right there. Hello. Yes, hello. Hi. What's up? Alex? Okay, carrying on. As long ago as the 15th century, travelers from the West brought back tales of ape men living in the rugged, untamed lands of the East. Such a traveler was Hans Schautberger, whose own story was an exciting adventure. Schautberger was a German nobleman who was taken prisoner by Mongol warriors but nevertheless treated courteously. While a prisoner, Schautberger was amazed to see two animal men, a male and female, given as a kind of gift to the warlord who had captured him. They were stocky and covered with hair except for their faces, which were bare. These were almas, and they were looked at as animals little different than monkeys or other apes. They were supposedly fairly common, but becoming rarer at that time. Almost 400 years later, the great naturalist Przewalski included almas in his survey of oriental animals. He described them as a cross between men and apes. He also described a strange type of horse, with a bristly ridge running down its neck. Europeans laughed at Przewalski's description of these creatures, but Przewalski's horse was later discovered roaming Mongolia, and it has been accepted by science as a separate species of horse. It stands to reason that if Przewalski was telling the truth about the horse, he was also telling the truth about the almas. As war and chaos engulfed the Soviet Union in the early days of the 20th century, men began to penetrate into the lonely areas where the almas were seen. In 1925, as Russian communists fought to purge the last white Russians from the land, General Mikhail Topolsky thought he had cornered a faction of rebels in a virtually uninhabited section of the rugged Pamir Mountains. The Reds approached a cave where they believed the Whites were holed up. Suddenly there was a screech and a commotion from within the cave, and a hairy figure ran out, either in a panic or a rage. The soldiers instantly shot the strange figure dead. Okay, hold on. Dehydration setting in. Toponsky studied the body of the odd individual and was shocked to discover that he was not even a man, much less a rebel soldier. The Alma was 5.5 feet tall and covered with grayish-brown hair except for the face, hands, and feet. Its skin was dark and rough, and its chest was massively built. As far as facial features went, the Alma had a bony brow ridge, a sloping forehead, and a flat, puggish nose. The gentleman was struck just as much by the wild man's humanity as his apishness. And what became of the body? Stranded hundreds of miles from civilization in a time of war, Toponsky and his soldiers buried it beneath a mound of stones. And there perhaps still lies the body of a creature who could revolutionize anthropology if it were ever discovered. That was not the only time the Russian military crossed paths with the wild men. In 1941, as the Soviet Union was embroiled in the fury of World War II, Colonel V.S. Karapetyan received a peculiar request to examine a most unusual spy who was found lurking in the mountains of Dagestan. The local soldiers did not know what to make of the prisoner, who could not speak. Karapetyan entered the tent where the prisoner was kept and encountered something that did not seem quite human. Karapetyan's description was scientifically exact, and he also drew a good sketch of the wild man who sat unblinking in a chair before him. The creature was naked, but seemed to have a shaggy pelt on the chest, back, and upper legs. The rest of the body was merely very hairy, in a more typically human fashion. The Alma was not tall, but had an extremely muscular build. He stood before me like a giant, noted Karapetyan, with his mighty chest thrust forward. On the whole, he was considerably bigger than any of the local inhabitants. There was little or no sign of intelligence. His eyes told me nothing. They were dull and empty, the eyes of an animal. The local tribesmen knew of similar creatures and called them captors, a local variation of the Alma. Karapetyan was at a loss for what to do with the spy. He knew this was no Nazi or rebel. He could not hold him. With war raging all around and men fighting for their lives, there was no time for scientific study. Karapetyan returned to his post, leaving the captor in the hands of his mostly uneducated captors. Word later came that the wild man was simply shot and buried. Serious scientific study of llamas has taken place, but war and skepticism have taken their toll on those determined to learn more about the elusive humanoids. In 1913, Russian scientist V. A. Kaklov wrote a detailed study of llamas, but in the chaos of the Russian Revolution, his papers were lost or destroyed. Perhaps the greatest investigator into the llama was Professor Serrano, who spent a great deal of time in Mongolia looking into the creature's existence. Serrano was convinced the llamas were common, and was even said to have illustrations of them taken from life. But the professor ran afoul of Uncle Joe Stalin and was sentenced to the Gulag, where he died a miserable death. His research disappeared with him. In more modern times, two women have taken up the search. Marie-Jeanne Kaufmann has spent time in the remote Altai Mountains studying the llamas. She has never seen one herself, but she has collected footprints, hair samples from an unknown primate, and observed rough nests of branches, which llamas used as shelters. Mira Shockley proposed the theory that llamas are surviving members of the Neanderthals. Indeed, descriptions of the llamas sometimes coincide nicely with the stocky, rugged Neanderthals, but recent research has shown that Neanderthals were much more intelligent and organized than they were originally given credit for. It seems unlikely that they would have become the dull-witted and animalistic llamas unless a great degeneration had taken place. A question regarding Neanderthals has always been, were they able to breed with Homo sapiens? A startling story from Russia seems to suggest that the llamas are indeed able to breed successfully with normal humans. I don't know, carry on with the reading until, jeez, I don't know. Let's just fight Glutton. Boots still there. Boots, yeah, still there. Yeah, hold on, just gonna plug it in. Yeah, well, if you eat me, you'll choke. Disposal. Just give me one moment. And now morning we go. Useless. Wait, what? Where'd the other bandage go? Did I must have put that in disposal by accident. Well, to the wilderness we go. Oh, jeez. Okay, back to reading we go. In the 1880s, a strange woman, later given the name Zana or Zanya, with features of both I can't say those. I cannot say those. With features of both Mongolian and African extraction, was captured in the Western Caucasus region. Here, Hoinoids are known as Abnuaya. Her exotic features were enough to describe her as unusual, but it was her coat of reddish-black hair which covered her from head to foot, and her physically imposing body which made her even more extraordinary. She was powerful enough to actually outrun horses, and was able to easily swim swift, flowing rivers. the region of the globe that the story of Zana comes from is Abkhazia and northwestern Georgia. This region lies east of the Black Sea and borders on the Russian Federation. What is known of Zana occurs in a village called Takina that lies on the Moskva River, roughly 50 miles from Sukhumi. The map above. There's no map. Skip that part. Zana was captured sometime in the mid-1800s. The manner in which she was captured is unclear. Some reports have her being accidentally found. Others have her being captured by hunters on purpose. It is only needed to be stated at this point that she was captured and eventually became the possession of a nobleman named Idgai Ganaba. She was housed in an enclosure of some time for a period of about 3 years. In this time she had very little human contact. Her food was thrown to her, and she dug holes to sleep in. Eventually she grew calm around humans, and was moved out of the enclosure, and was given freedom to roam about the countryside. In captivity, Zana was passed on to a successor of owners convincing with Prince D.M. Achaba, titular head of the Zaden region, and then ultimately into the hands of a nobleman, Edgi Ganava from Takina on the Moskva River. The bizarre hominoid was well treated by her master, who taught her simple tasks to perform around the farm. It is said that she had a fondness for wine, and this is how her pregnancies came about. The wine would nullify her enough that she would become pregnant on at least 6 different occasions by possibly 6 different men of the village. The first few offspring died due to Zana washing them in water after birth, but the last 4 offspring survived by the help of the village women who took the children. Of these 4 children, there were 2 of each sex. The children grew up to be like the villagers, with some physical differences. Each of these children reproduced, and there are now descendants throughout the region. These progeny were fairly normal, except all were dark and physically powerful. One son had the power to lift a man on a chair off the ground by means of his powerful jaws. Unlike their mother, Zana's children turned out to be quite talented, with one son an accomplished pianist. Zana died sometime in the latter half of the 19th century. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the article. What we actually know about Zana, and not from the exaggeration, is that she was perfectly human. It was little more than 19th century prejudice. 19th century and rural prejudice that caused her to be depicted as an ape woman. Huh. So we seem to have found a bit of a plateau, or why am I still wearing less? Hmm, what's going on there? What the? Careful. Looks like something's going on here. A mining operation, maybe? Isn't this basically where I ended yesterday? Jeez, I'm so high up I don't even know what's down there. Excuse me. There's definitely land down there. I can tell that. I thought I saw lava for a moment. Well, that's all for today, everyone. I'm Brian Croydragon signing out. Stay straight.